Hey everybody, welcome back to X's for Show, your weekly media response for everything as big as Jimbo's boobs and as small as the footnote that was Coco Montrese. No, I did it again. Kahana Montrese, I gotta go. I've just been trying to do through so many seasons. Anyway, Nico Action, NICOACTION, come check me out. Having a good time.
And I'm TK. You can find me at XNateXGrayX.
And that leaves me, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY. And believe me, I am in as much of a drag whirlwind as Nico. I'm just quieter.
Yeah. So, okay. I just want to jump back. We're here to talk about our favorite reality programs. We got Drag Race All-Stars Season 8. We have Project Runway Season 20 / All-Stars Season 8 as well. Sort of a weird hybrid situation. We have the debut of Food Trucks at 8 p.m., which
share my screen.
I am like itchy that we're not going to be able to watch it, that is airing at 8 p.m. and I have to miss Daddy Tyler on Father's Day. I should be.
You were gonna have to anyway because we were gonna want to watch it together.
Yeah, I know.
That's true. Dad's together.
And we're gonna mention just maybe a little bit about the incredible, maybe 2 best episodes of the entire series premiere of Crime Scene Kitchen. I was raptured. Thought both episodes were great. Jonah, who will be on in a little bit, and I were howling. But that's a good 2-minute opening. That's a good 2-minute opening. Okay, let's.
Okay.
I want to talk for a minute about these 2 shows, right? Drag Race and Project Runway, and kind of the ways in which they're secretly related. They are siblings. Like, there's sort of no separating it. Mm-hmm. And for me and Kevo, we've been like powering through so many seasons. Show contributor Jonah was like, watch this with me. I'm your boyfriend. Watch this with me. And we were like, And then TK came into our lives, and TK was like, same thing, bro. And I was like, fine.
I think I was a little bit less, I'm your boyfriend, watch this with me, and more at this point in time, given everything I have learned about you, it is insane that you haven't at least seen some of this show. And you keep making references, not to anything from Drag Race, but that would slot in so perfectly as a Drag Race person. And a bunch of those were like Project Runway references. So it was more like, I'm never here to force you because I have been that guy. And I've also already had that boyfriend that I was like, you need to watch it. And he said no. And then somehow our other friends got him to watch this. So Jack, if you are watching right now, you should have watched Drag Race when we told you to.
What a mistake. I only regret all of the years that I could have been supporting these artists, loving this program. I just wish I hadn't waited so long to fall in love with this art form.
Everything happens in its own correct time. And I think watching the way that you do, the both of you, I think appreciate it in a way and at a level that would that we could show the queens, because as Nico and I were talking about today, the fandom, for as amazing and enthusiastic as it is complicated and difficult in a lot of ways. And I think, having experienced so many different kinds of fandoms with you two and with Jonah and with my partner Jake, we do it damn good. And, the older we get, the better we get, the more resources we have to do it. And I think we're killing it right now. And, I wish I could show everybody the enthusiasm you're bringing to being Drag Race fans, the both of you.
Like, it's even little things for me that I really am that enthusiastic. It's like, this is okay. I was really excited that Lizzo About Damn Time was the lip sync for today, and I said to myself, what would be a cool way to pay tribute to this episode? And I did a Trixie Mattel style auto harp set to sort of like a classic jig style incremental picking over a synth rock beat version of About Damn Time, because I just wanted to do a little Trixie, a little Drag Race, a little just having fun. By the way, I'm sorry I was having like a dumb attack before, but this bottle is green.
We all got why. Your bottle's invisible. You're so happy.
Truly, sponsor us. We'll keep drinking them on air.
I will never stop drinking these on air, whether or not you sponsor us, but wouldn't it be better if you did?
And I want to give huge props as well to Kevo, who brings a level of observation and synthesis when it comes to fandoms. I have never seen somebody so regularly and astutely just pull together facts about a show, numbers about a show, numbers about a queen, and like find patterns and interesting levels at which you can watch and interpret moments in a show that really, like, you know, sometimes it'll seem like something really little, but it's an observation about timing and numbers when it comes to queens wins that kind of just like totally changes your perspective on what's going on.
Oh, well, thank you. It's just such a really weird and fascinating show because, like I always say, at the end of the day, it always just comes down to whose name is on the building, who writes the checks. It's RuPaul's Drag Race. So sometimes finding the rhyme or reason is chaos. It's absolute chaos. But, you know, there absolutely frequently is a method, and it's such a fascinating art form. Yeah.
And, you know, it's in that like study of it. This is the 8th season of Project Runway All-Stars and the 8th season of Drag Race All-Stars. But like I had a really profound realization while we were talking, and I kind of wish I hadn't had it while we were talking because this is such an amazing realization. I mean, I caught everything everyone was saying, and I'm going to respond to that as well. But like one of the things I think that makes RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars such a vehement fandom is it has all the makings of a Disney or a comics. It has the exponential webification, right? It goes from one show to a few shows to international shows. The shows cross over in versus ways. This is something that the Marvel Cinematic Universe could take note from what this show has accomplished. And how are we still not talking about Valentina's new show? And so
there's too much already. We already have too much drag. When we eliminate some more drag, then we can watch Valentina's show.
Okay. So drag me to dinner. Goodbye. And the whole thing I want to get to is Project Runway originally had Project Runway on NBC, and then it jumped on ship over to Lifetime, much like RuPaul's Drag Race went from Logo to admittedly parent operator subsidy VH1. So that was a little bit more of like somebody was like, oh man, you're going off of the back shelf to the top shelf. Whereas Project Runway was a hostile takeover because the Weinstein Company was run by a sociopath. And please, by all means.
And you know, it's also just like the TV landscape has changed in such significant ways. It's almost like not really that big a deal that Drag Race moved from VH1 to MTV because, like, what is MTV anymore? Nobody's watching MTV expecting MTV's best content. They're expecting episodes of ridiculousness.
Guys, did you notice that when we watch on not the Pirate Bay, that the little symbol in the corner has changed? I wonder what that V becoming an M means.
Yeah. I mean, it just like, it does not really, and you know, the jump from Logo to VH1 was a big deal. That was like, oh, they're seeing it as a really viable property that can go on their bigger channel. But VH1 to MTV, it almost feels like Drag Race is doing MTV a favor of like giving them something that isn't ridiculousness or some like Teen Mom situation. Project
and they get
Runway,
things in return. They get, you know, better music and stuff, but it's not
right.
Yeah.
Right. Project Runway went from, you know, Lifetime, which is a little bit
Lifetime.
I was going to say Lifetime to Bravo.
Well, Bravo to Lifetime to Bravo.
So that's even crazier because they got that kind of bitch slap down to Lifetime and, you know, now are being told like Bravo is still really churning out some real hits and people have some pretty high expectations of the type of like memeable popular content that you get on Bravo. So to put
it's
Project
be Andy
Runway
Cohen's dick or nothing.
It's, you know, it is a big deal. Like it's an interesting trajectory.
Andy Cohen loves to hear you say that. But what had happened was Lifetime bought Project Runway thinking that they could make a whole franchise out of it and gave it like seriously a half dozen spin-offs. Models of the Runway,
right? I remember
the
that.
models afterward. Then there was Project Runway Junior, which has our favorite quote of all time, which is a judge tells a contestant, "No shit," looks him like right in the eye and says, "So this is your art? It is hilarious." And he meant it like not funny. It's a Tommy Wiseau situation, but the guy
hearing your art is
hilarious.
Will live with us forever.
And he goes on to be very successful on the show, very competitive, a really cool dude. Nothing bad to say about anybody on Project Runway Kids ever. We will not stand for the slander of children. It's just the kids shouldn't be on reality shows. So the kids whose parents are dumb enough to let them on, we're here to protect these kids no matter what it takes. But so Project Runway gets all these spinoffs, all these cool, side projects. And ultimately what winds up happening is the fall of the Weinsteins, and everything that was owned by the Weinstein Company falls into questionable rights ownership. And for a couple of months there, no one knows who owns Project Runway. And Lifetime had seen the dwindling numbers. They hadn't run a season since the Twincident. And so they literally just gave the rights back. Now that means huge seasons are missing, but the first 7 seasons of Project Runway All-Stars are their own program. And season 7 is an international best of the winners for Project Runway. And it's literally the same thing for Drag Race. So it's really interesting that they're both on their season 8 of All-Stars following their All-Stars season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of it is just like, we are getting that old. We are getting that on. We have had so many seasons of these
stop!
shows.
I'm gonna remove him. Wait.
We've had so many seasons. We've had such a gigantic cast and catalog. You know, the first thing I said to you when we were watching Project Runway was, so they don't all hang out, like they don't all know each other outside of the show, because it is always so funny to me what like a subculture in and of itself now being a contestant on Drag Race is. You are part of the sisterhood. And even part of the international sisterhood, which means, tours, collaborations, touring for World of Wonder and, touring for other companies associated with World of Wonder, but also people like Jinx and Dela who tour for themselves. They collaborate and do their own tours.
And let me just say, just for a moment,
no, please.
Was going to buy tickets to Jinx's show.
Yeah.
That's at like a really convenient time for me. It's at a theater that I will do anything to see somebody at, the Count Basie.
Yeah.
I think it's the Basie, but it's a theater I love no matter what. It might be the Beacon, and I'm just losing my mind. But the tickets are based on demand after the first week of sales. And
I thought you were going to say they're based on hotness.
No. Well, they might as well be.
I need to have them.
Because the tickets that are quite literally felt straight from Satan's asshole cost the same amount as the down payment on my first mansion. So good for her. When you hear that,
if you can
based
charge
on
it.
demand, I mean, I wish all that money was going to her, but
a solid amount is at this point.
That's my demand. If not, my demand a martini, which, by the way, reminder, if you are ever looking to love up on a queen, demand a martini who has been on our show before. We have her social media. We can get that out in the comments. She is like a favorite queen of mine, and she has some amazing appearances coming up. She's going to be at FlameCon, where you can check out this team of motherfuckers in, I think, August.
Yes.
It will all be there. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be debuting a cool new game. And so please, by all means, check out Amanda.
And I just want to say, why we're not going to Jinx? I remember. She's competing with the only redhead who could take our time.
Same day as Tori Amos.
Same 2 nights as Tori Amos.
How dare? How very dare?
I think we're supposed to do
Jinx,
one,
why
then
aren't
the
you
other.
going?
Maybe that's why she was like, I can't get tickets to Tori, so in protest,
If I can't
I'm going
have
to put
them,
on my own
I'll
show.
make the gays choose.
Yeah, I'll make
Okay.
them gays choose. Or this
Or
is for all the gays that didn't get tickets. We'll have
Right.
our own Kiki.
Consolation party.
I want to suggest a weird alt 90s girl snatch game where Jinx plays Tori Amos and she can really dig into that time that Tori Amos decided that Britney Spears was disgusting for releasing a song about toxic shock syndrome. And people had to be like, Tori, that's not what she
That's
means.
not what toxic is.
And she's like, toxic shock syndrome. And like,
God, I don't remember that.
oh yeah, but I think Jinx Monsoon, she's just one of those performers who I think could like
She could
really-
kill a Tori impression.
yeah. Whereas like another winner, Bianca, I don't really want to see Bianca do impressions of anything. I really just kind of want to see her be Fred Flintstone. You know what I mean? Like, it's terrible. I'm gonna walk this car. Like, that's all she needs to do.
And unfortunately, nobody really has that vibe from 90s all girl. Like, I love the idea of a themed drag race that's that themed. Like, who's playing Liz Phair? Obviously, Adore is playing Courtney Love, and she's basically doing Anna Nicole, but just more evil.
You guys, I had a fight with Kurt, and he blew up real bad.
We will be cutting that out of future broadcasts.
The worst thing you've ever said? Probably not.
No,
Party.
but is it in the top 10? Very
Party.
possibly. I'm trying to think what sad, irrelevant queen is playing Sarah
PJ
McLachlan.
Harvey?
Just happy to be here. No, somebody amazing is playing PJ Harvey. Like Alaska is playing PJ Harvey.
Courtney is
I
Sarah
don't know who
McLachlan.
PJ Harvey is, but I negotiated one of the.
Hi,
people.
I'm just glad to be here. Hi.
Listen, we're doing too many Drag Race impressions. Not to
We're
bring
not doing
in-
enough, but continue.
Not to bring in
Yeah, no, he means.
the world's coolest Drag Race guru. We talked about him before and how he convinced us to do this thing, and how much we love it. And he's pretty cool. So let's have him on because he's the best. So
Get him in here.
everybody, if Jonah he him as his nameplate said, oh, he's ready. Good. Hello.
He's in the workroom.
Hello, everyone.
It's the boy.
So, okay, we're talking about how Drag Race and Project Runway, they both had season 7's All-Stars that were All-Stars of the All-Stars, and now they're both on season 8. And I think somewhere along the line, we started casting alt 90s grungy queens. So, who's your vote for Melissa Etheridge? For
Okay.
Alanis?
He wasn't born yet.
Oh my
And
god!
you
Oscar
can pick
Dolores
anybody
Alanis.
that you know would have been on the Lilith Fair. Fiona Apple, Sarah McLachlan.
also
To
accept
answer your
Halsey
first one you said
now.
of Melissa Etheridge, that answer would be Trixie Mattel. Trixie Mattel often talks about how Melissa Etheridge, when she was 13, listening to that album, she taught herself to play guitar from Melissa Etheridge. I Am Me? No, what is the album called?
Yeah, actually, yeah, and I can. It's because that G, there's that solid. It's a really great record. That's still expertly. That's gonna change my life forever. Thank you for that addition.
That would be the most work she would ever have to do to get into a character. She's got the musical talent to do anything, but that is not her vocal range. That is not her vocal attitude. It would be so good. Also, how do you do Trixie makeup to turn yourself into Melissa Etheridge? I
want Silky to show up and be like, "I'm Faith Hill."
No, I never want Silky to show up ever again. I'm sorry, but I just sat through that All-Stars.
Pulls a box of donuts out. Finds a third arm, pulls a glass of orange juice out. Fourth arm goes in, pulls
No
out
more
a
Silky
euphonium.
surprise. No
If she
more
was
Silky
going to
surprise.
If she was going to be a 90s queen, I would make her, I would do Queens of Rap and she would be Mia X.
Oh, you know who I was just thinking about the other day does not get enough respect in terms of like lady rap game.
I'll know and love whoever you're talking about.
And it's killing me that like now I'm blanking on her name.
Charlie Baltimore.
No, on Foxy Brown.
Foxy Brown, who nearly hit me with her car.
And because I was thinking about her guest appearances on other tracks
Today?
and I completely forgot that she nearly hit you with her car.
This is why women shouldn't drive. And there, I said something worse than the Kurt Cobain thing. So we're good.
We're back on track, everybody.
Man, unlike that car. So, Jonah.
Yes.
Crunchy Queens aside, we watched this week's episode, and I want to ask you to start things off because the three of us have already weighed in a little bit, and so I want to ask you to start. Kahana's guys, I'm gonna go. I'm talentless. I think sometimes about people that are like, I don't take people that are like, I don't have any talent seriously because that's just secretly asking to be praised. But no, I think Kahana might have thought she had no talent in that moment. What were your feelings?
So here's the thing. Kahana is not talentless. She
No, not at all.
looks extremely beautiful, knows how to put a look together, like genuinely very gorgeous. The entire package that she has brought from what we've seen up until her departure and, eventually in the Fang Games
You use that word entire package or their selection package, their outfit package. Is that a fandom term or like, is that just something you picked up at some point?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It's something that I've seen thrown around in some fan spaces of this idea of package, of like everything that you've brought to bring. And she also can dance like no other. She is a great performer, really great lip syncer. I feel bad that on an All-Stars, that's not a talent you really get to showcase a lot unless you're constantly winning challenges. It was one of those moments where I felt bad for this person because they're clearly struggling with the challenges that are being given to them because they're not geared to what they're good at, and that's absolutely fine. We're not going to be the best at everything. And I felt bad because you could clearly see she's literally struggling because she's like, I don't know what to do different. Nobody's telling me what to do different. There's only so much you can do if you're not somebody who does comedy, who does improv, who does all these different things that Drag Race does ask you. However, on the flip side, this is All Stars 8. This show has been on for over 15 years. We're coming up on 2 decades. We are very aware of what the show is asking you to do in terms of challenges. Dancing, singing, comedy, more specifically improv and roast, and sewing. You can basically boil down every single challenge to one of those 4 categories. You know what they're going to ask of you. If you feel like you're either going on a main season or an All-Stars, look at where your weak points are and shore them up. Take an improv class, take a dance class, take a sewing class, take singing lessons. Do all these things if you want to win. It feels almost a little bizarre that the show has been around for so long and people go on without certain skills expecting, I don't know what they're
Something
expecting.
Different. Yeah. What are you expecting?
It's one of those things where especially on something like an All-Stars where I expect a little bit more from these queens on their second go-around of, you know what it's like to be around these cameras. You have an idea of how the show is filmed. You know a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. You know what you should be doing to be making your storyline known, to get that screen time, to get that win. I just wish a lot more queens, kind of go through their, training montage to get here. I don't know, part of that is, how feasible is that really? Between the amount of working they have to do, the touring they have to do, the mercy they are with WoW, with being called upon doing certain things, dropping what they have to do. There's so many things that go into it, and I don't want it to come across this idea like, it's easy to do these 4 things. No, these things are hard, and they expect you to do these at an expert level.
Yeah, you're studying to do them. This is about achievement. This isn't about like, no one's saying you must be just automatically great at this. They're saying you're supposed to study and take it seriously.
And that's just what I want. I at least I hope going forward, and I hope queens realize like you can practice these things, you can learn these skills. You don't have to feel often as we may know her, the inner saboteur. This idea of telling yourself, I don't do this, so I can't. No, you can. Anybody could do anything within reason. Maybe I feel bad saying this, but maybe Jimbo can't win a lip sync. But there are so many things you can do, you can learn. Like, I just wish these queens felt like they had the resources and support to say, you can learn how to do this, you can learn how to slay in All Stars or your main season.
And, you know, I just want to tie into one thing you said to me earlier today, JoJo, that like really stuck with me. So I've become a huge Lala Ree fan this season. Already liked her, but like fucking love her now. And I just think she's great. And I said, wait, was that her first win? And JoJo said, yeah. And then he pointed out that on season 6, it was how many people's first win?
On All Star 6, for people who've won their first challenge ever was Trinity K. Bonet, Kylie Sonique Love, Jan, and Raja D. O'Hara. There were 4 people who have never won a challenge before that won their first challenge on their All-Star. And it's a huge thing. It's why in episode 3, it's Trinity talks about how this is her first win ever. And, that entire moment goes down and we get the Raja. I don't really want to do the impression, but Raja saving that moment and making sure Trinity is lifted was really beautiful and amazing. But it is this momentous thing for so many of them, because winning a challenge, it kind of means it's the seal of approval. It's a seal of approval from RuPaul that you did great this week. You deserve some money. You deserve this. You deserve these accolades.
Well, but so to that end, you said that, we can name a couple of seasons that it was how many people's first wins in All-Stars. And to TK's point, where are the All-Stars? I mean, I love these performers. I think they are All-Stars, but it's so many people's first wins. TK, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, just don't call it All-Stars. Call it second chances. I will continue to feel that way.
And
favorites. I mean, and second chances is like the Magnolia Crawford, bring them back. But like doing a show called Fan Favorite, where it is queens who, didn't win, but were really specifically beloved or have like been seen as like some of the greats. That's another great brand. I really think, Queens of the Universe now seems to be getting more traction each season. So I think they've got the drag queen singing competition on lock, but it's unfortunate that Drag Race chose not to get into that. And they could do now a performance-based thing where it's like any kind of performance, but you have to actually perform live. I still think they should do like a 4-episode maxi pageant. There's just all these ways to sort of capitalize on the brand that you have and the skills that we expect from people, rather than just doing this one show we call All Stars, in which sometimes we find that maybe the people are not All Stars. And I think to Jonah's point, that's where it becomes really glaring, where it's not just that like, oh, these are the people that are being brought back because they're the best of the best and they can't act. It's that they never thought about what they would do when asked to act. Something you and I were talking about, Nico, is like, it was exactly as Jonah said, like take an improv class. We calculated the time, to like prepare 6 months ahead of time. For like 1 hour a week, you would get like 26 hours out of that.
One day of 6 months to be better at singing.
To be better at singing, singing was what we said. Yeah, exactly. Which like, that's going to make it so that you absolutely don't embarrass yourself and don't go up to series favorite Jimbo when you are headed to the guillotine. And at that point say, hey, how do you act? I loved that moment. I thought that was a really...
What is act?
What am acting? I thought that was such a sweet moment. What do you got, Jonah?
I think everybody should be watching some Udavé Hog and some respect from respect to acting. Like, let's give some queen like some yes and let's go. Let's give these queens some stuff. I will say Jimbo was very motherly this episode, helping Kahana, calming down Alexis, rubbing her chest. That was a very sweet moment.
Jimbo is shining in every way this season. It really is the Jimbo show in a way that, like, it will be the gag of the season if she doesn't win. If she does win, it's not quite boring, but, like, man, is she killing in a way that, like, it was no surprise when Sasha Colby won in terms of that she was so talented, and it really was the Sasha Colby meet and greet. But knowing Drag Race formulas and politics, the surprise that other queens didn't win just because it seemed as though that was kind of the direction that the show as a production was leaning in, that was a surprise. Jimbo really is just, there's really no way at this point. And every time she has a moment like that, where she's also just an amazing person, you get even further into it, which is why I did like that how do you act moment. I was just, if we had seen that during the SNL challenge, I would have thought, like, that's really cool that Kahana went to somebody that she knew was good at the thing and laid it all out and said, hey, like, I clearly don't know how to do this. Could you give me some advice? To have it happen after this moment at which RuPaul rushed in and had to throw sand on the fire to keep the place from burning down.
Spray all the cats with water.
And the fact that they're like, Ru didn't have to do that smiley face, and it's like, no, she did. RuPaul really did need to come in and give a pep talk, and that was the RuPaul that I imagine is a lot of how RuPaul acts off camera, because that was not on camera Ru.
Yeah.
At all in the slightest. That was like where the mask is dropped a little.
You said on camera Ru.
Cameroon.
Cameroon.
Yeah, that was a uniquely unfiltered Ru, because there clearly was not a ton of time to plan this, to produce this moment in any way. It was really like, oh, are we going to have to shut down production?
Okay, so that was my take on it. Not to, like, get involved. But
no, get involved. That's the idea.
I mean, because, I just, like, I spend way too much time producing the show or whatever. Here's the thing. RuPaul is in an awful predicament because her show truly is landmark and incredible, but it does have a couple of strikes against it, like just things that have happened that have not been chill. And it's, drag queens are under fire right now. There's states that I'm not sure it's legal to act out the scenes from Drag Race. You know what I mean? So I think Ru kind of said, oh, hell, we cannot have two queens quit this season. The hell, we have two queens quitting this season. I just don't want the damage control. 1 year without the nightmare. And, like, I think she had to come in and be like, listen, if you can't handle a couple of rough critiques, this isn't the industry for you. But this is the industry for all of you. So learn to handle the critiques.
I think she did it really well. I think there's a bigger question, too, about what it means to go on All Stars and what people's game plan is. Because I do sort of feel like Heidi saw the writing on the wall that she wasn't going to win. And it wasn't that she was so overcome with emotion and didn't like the ugliness of it, although I'm sure that's part of it. It was that she saw that she wasn't going to win. She had done what she needed to do to show the world that she really stepped up her game. It would be worth it to book a ticket to her show or to book her to, like, make a little bit of a splash. And then
to just stand near her at DragCon and look at those pecs.
And then why keep going? And I feel like Kahana, for all that she was talking about, being over it, not liking the energy, and I'm sure all those things were true, she was getting that same idea. I clearly cannot go all the way if I have not, won more than one challenge and I'm not really succeeding. We've just gotten to a point where we're at my weak point. Maybe I should just go.
I will PayPal one of you $10,000 to give me talent.
I think we need to get more into a zone of that type of strategy if All Stars is going to continue, because
buying wins.
Buying wins, yes.
FTC Commission Online 1. There,
No,
that's
I just
Vance
mean,
Fraser quote for the day.
Like legit alliances and like, maybe starting to eliminate your biggest competition. Like
Candy coming for James. Like they are the happy, sad, tragic comedy masks of each other.
Yep.
Both kind of loud, both kind of brash, both kind of sound like they've been through a vocoder. You could imagine either one of them is the person under the ghost face mask. And like, she was just like, listen, I'm much nicer this season, but I think it's time for James to go. And James was like, I can't believe you would eliminate me. Oh, it's time to go. Bye. And that was that. By the way, that was absolutely my Lorelai Gilmore one-woman show version of that.
I've heard worse.
To interact with something you said earlier, TK, about this idea of all-stars versus second chances. My personal tinfoil hat theory is you look at something like All-Stars 1, 2, and 3, and you look at literally everybody there in theory is a contender for the crown. The only person I would say at the time maybe was like a little bit of we need to give this person another chance and we're not putting them on a main season was Aja, who made it through the midway through her season, but kind of needed that opportunity of like showcase what Aja is good at. But everybody else was at that point a contender for the crown. And then we get to All Stars 4, and as much as I love them and I think they're entertaining in ways, did Pheromone and Gia Gunn go into this thinking they were going to win All Stars?
Of course not.
And that's where we kind of start to see we're bringing queens back in order to give them another chance of being on the platform, being on TV, up their booking fee, up their ability to tour, all these different things that then becomes less about these people aren't contenders for the crown. The other side of that, the other coin is they no longer don't want to do an All-Stars 1, 2, or 3 in the sense of we're not wasting all our potential winners. We're not going to put all of our winners on the same season because then they're not going to win. And we like these people. We potentially want to give them the crown at some point.
Sugar Spice, you're not competing for the crown. You're competing for adulthood.
Listen.
And didn't you guys say that for Project Runway, or maybe it's Top Chef, maybe it's both, some of the shows that you watch, there are all-stars where you can just keep coming back?
I swear to God, no one has ever truly gone from Top Chef.
Top Chef has like at least 3 last chance kitchens in one season. Every season, at least currently, someone from a previous season comes back.
Yeah.
It's like whether it be 1 or 5 of them.
Just
sometimes it's half the cast. And sometimes they just keep inviting people back. And like they've.
I think we are moving to a point where if we don't go in the direction of like expanding the product lineup, that might be the other thing I would want to see for All Stars is like just keep inviting Shangela back till she wins. Keep inviting Ginger Minj back till she wins. They're not any less talented. They're not gonna provide any less of a show, but to put, I don't know. I mean, this was a solid group of queens for this season. I'm really trying to think. I mean, I might. Gosh, I really do love her so much, but like, I just don't think Jan was ever going to win her season or All Stars, and so
because she's too off brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Jan's brand is Jan. And Jan wants to Jan.
It's not being the winner of a season of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Which is something that I can't think of which queens in particular have said it, but it's something that I've always really loved. When a queen gets up there, maybe Candy was one who in her "This is why you should pick me" speech, right? Is like, because this is like a responsibility and like you have to do it. And like it's a job. And like it is. And like every job in the world, whether it's CEO of the biggest company in the world or it's what anyone might believe to be like, the most basic job in the world, if it's just like holding the door, even,
Walmart grader.
Yeah, you have an objective and a reason to be good and a reason to try, and like it's a job, and if it's not for you, it's not for you.
It's also a brand.
Mhm.
When not to say that you getting on the show, you are not a part of the brand, but winners carry a significant weight in terms of their representation of the brand. Winners are carefully selected of what does this person bring to the brand? What do they bring to the table? What are they going to do for our recognition? And not to say someone wins because of X, Y, and Z or they don't deserve it. That's not true. All the people who've ever been in contention for the crown, I think, really have almost deserved it. But it's something that does go into it of where they consider, this person brings great things for this reason. They would be great to have in our Hall of Fame, in our winner circle.
And I think one of the best examples of that is a queen like Bianca Del Rio, who is such a brand in and of herself, but spent the year being the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race season 6, and then the subsequent 3 years not being like, I don't want to talk about Drag Race, don't do anything, not showing up to events. Bianca was the consummate professional when it came to making her brand be in sync with Drag Race, and then taking the time to distinguish her brand and still showing up. She still does stuff like host the pit stop, but she tours by herself. It's the Rolodex of Hate tour. She's not doing Work the World.
It's very similar to Trixie and Katya.
Yes.
Their brand is much larger. I won't say much larger, but wider reaching than standard Drag Race brand at this point in terms of where they are. And they both still do WoW and Drag Race affiliated things, but they are much too big for the show in terms of,
Trixie's makeup line is Trixie's makeup line. It is not in collaboration with Drag Race. And that is a hugely successful product that wouldn't have happened without Drag Race, but is not a Drag Race product. And Trixie had that out for years before her most recent time being the host of the pit stop. She is still showing up. And I think that is such an important part of the equation. And I just, to take it back to it, a queen like Jan, I do think you're right. I just don't see them being there. And I think nobody in production sees either. So then why are they there? I haven't cared from seasons 4 through 8. Jonah, I think you nailed the time frame on that. But we are getting to a point where I really am starting to care quite a lot, and I just want to see something. I want to see a change or something that leads me to believe we're all on the same page about what's going on here.
And I think that's part of the magic of the current All-Star season you guys are watching of All-Stars 6, because up until episode 6, there was one person who won a challenge. It wasn't until episode 7 that somebody won their second challenge, and that made the season feel exciting. Even though there were people that didn't do the best their first time around, it made it exciting, and it also dramatic of, oh, it's anybody's game, and that's what makes. That's what I think you want out of a season of you have to find that mix of people who made it to the end, people who made it to the mid, and people who are early outs that can make this season exciting for, it's a really difficult balance. I think All-Stars 6 really hit that nail on the head, and they're trying to capture lightning in a bottle twice, and I think they're finding it a little bit difficult with All-Stars 8.
And, I want to pivot to Kevo for a second, because it's something that I actually think it's funny, but one of the things that it kind of makes me think about is, believe it or not, gargoyles, right? Because the construction of the team of gargoyles is such extreme stereotypes. It's tropes. It's an effort to convey funny, well-meaning fat guy, little smart guy, nervous little one, gruff old one who thinks Mary Tyler Moore has a bunch of spunk in her or whatever.
Yowza. How'd it get there?
right? And not Rhoda,
Kind of.
not Phyllis. So we actually, you know what? I'll save the Phyllis Alakwa story for another day. But
Yes,
so Kevo, when I think about classic teams, I think about the extremity of tropes, and I think about those being the seasons you've reacted the most to. When you think about seasons like this current season with the the people up on the board, the contestants up on the board, or the current season of Project Runway All Stars, how do you feel about like the nature of the fact that you don't gravitate to the most extreme personalities, but that's who gravitates toward an All Stars?
I don't know. Big question, man.
Big, that's the thing. Like, big personalities go to All Stars. Like, you don't pick little shrinking violets for All Stars.
But do they? Because like I never felt James had a big personality, and I sort of had felt like that was part of why she was cut so early in her season in the first place. She was cute, and that's why she was memorable. But like the way it's sad if a puppy dies in the first 10 minutes of a movie is memorable. It's not a big personality.
Yeah, from her talking head image, I don't think she's likely to win this season. I think she's likely to ask me to join a bowling league.
James is an interesting example because she does not have a big personality. You're right. But I think fans really fell in love with her after the show and really regretted that she didn't last that long because she had such a specific sense of humor and she really did know what she was doing in professional contexts. She just didn't do that well on Drag Race. And I think people really wanted to see if that was a fluke or like they wanted her to get the time that like a really solid queen can get and do something with on Drag Race. And I think she succeeded, but I agree that it's not a big personality. And I guess there really is kind of a difference that's important when it comes to Drag Race.
We had either a shock or a sneeze.
No, I got it. So I wonder then if All Stars isn't so much big personalities as in looking at this board in particular, people who want to be the star, who strive to be the star, even if they are people who didn't make it far in their season, even if they're people who don't necessarily have the biggest or strongest personality when it comes to actually fighting, but they clearly wish they did or clearly want to be stronger. And I think that's definitely something that James represents. I think
so it's sort of like Madonna singing Star Quality.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill you.
I mean, kind of, actually.
Yeah. No, I mean it. Like, seriously. Like, she actually falls a little bit short of singing it right, which makes it earnest.
It's why you've got literally, like, these three women are the same woman. Tasha, Alexis, and Darian are the same woman. And they all sort of represent that same type of large and in charge, show-stopping diva, want to be a star, but often struggle under their own perception.
Speaking of perception and Alexis Michelle, I have doffed my hat to make this statement. And yes, I look like full-on Jane Curtin Coneheads right now. There are some scenes where I truly believe production is going out of their way to showcase Alexis Michelle's haircut in the most unflattering light, as though to say, it's bad, change it. It's like a reverse mullet such that I want to be like, tell him to change it. He is such a handsome
it's a backwards
man.
Fraser.
Yeah, it is. It's the unras. It is, he is such a handsome man and he's so talented and he's such an incredible performer. And he has made this season so fun and silly and dramatic, but it's an unflattering hairstyle that it does seem like production is almost going out of their way to showcase unflatteringly. And I found myself shocked by the number of like side profiles that they kept where they could have gone with any other shot. And like, it does sometimes feel like there are queens that they will keep the shot with the back rolls, and queens that like, there are some shots of Kahana walking through the workroom where I'm like, this is literally just from a Cocky Boys video. And there are shots of Alexis where I'm like, this is truly from ridiculousness. Like, it's intense what the edit will do. Do not blame it on the edit. Acknowledge the edit, point at the edit, and yell at the edit. Bad edit. Ru, fix your edit.
And part of me wonders if it's not some time-displaced punishment for Alexis's shenanigans.
Listen, Linda. I want to say my piece very quickly.
Please do, because then I'm
it is
your piece and your carrots.
Very entertaining to me. Alexis Michelle is 100% a producer of Drag Race. I will not hear any of it. Alexis Michelle is a plant. She's a producer. She knows exactly what to do, and part of it is...
Got an Elliot with 2 T's up in here.
Elliot with 2 T's was not a producer.
She's a mole.
Oh.
She's the mole. Alexis is the mole.
The funniest storyline... Honestly, the original mole theory was BB Zahara Benet at All Stars 3. People thought she was a mole.
Yeah.
And I would have thought that would have been
barely
amazing.
Understood the rules of the game. She could not have been the mole.
She called... Anyway, we're getting too far. We're veering too far. We need to come back. Come back.
Come through.
Alexis Michelle shenanigans make me laugh. They're so funny. But the actual person who makes me laugh the most regarding them is Jessica Wilde's reactions to them, and they're always so funny. It's
she's the best since Brooklyn Heights to just react to drama she's not a part of.
Oh, and Jimbo.
No.
Jimbo does a lot of...
as people pointed out, Jimbo does the most Canadian thing, is constantly covering her face with scripts because people are fighting.
I do wonder if this week we went too far. If there was possibly a miscalculation, and
someone ended up jaded.
Especially in light of 2 weeks ago, or last week, because Alexis made the choice to back down when Candy confronted her, and then get on social media and say it was because she was scared of Candy, which then had just some a little bit of coding towards black people scare me, or brown people scare me, ethnically ambiguous people scare me.
Which I definitely get that, but also Candy might be the gator from Where's My Water?
Yeah.
Candy is intimidating, sure. But I think, there's ways to talk about that. And so with that stacked on the deck already, to then do the crying, I don't know, man. That was a tough moment. Like, we've been talking about how Candy can be a bully, and I don't really disagree with that. Candy can be a bully, and it's not super cool. And it was so weird having this moment of going like, oh no, Candy's biting back again, and then stopping and being like, wait, yeah, Alexis, why aren't you doing it if the two roles are so similar?
And
why?
It was a tactic. It was a tactic, and someone called you on that, and they said, I'm not going to take that tactic. It doesn't make Candy taking the role from you right, but it's what you were doing, and you know it's what you were doing.
I'm really sorry, but Alexis, the news flash is Lucy did it better with Mistress. For all that I want to talk about Lux and Candy and Silky being bullies in their seasons, self-victimization is actually a bullying tactic. It is gaslighting. And I do think that as much as I think Alexis Michelle is incredible, Alexis Michelle and Pandora in All Stars 6 being like, no, I need to win. You don't need this. Like, no, everyone needs
Everyone
it.
needs
Calm
it the same,
down.
weirdo.
And like, there is a certain level to which I, as a person who thinks that like, I used to not be very strong and capable of standing up for myself, like even emotionally, and now I am. And so like, I always want to fight bullies, but like, no, I need to be just as comfortable calling out Alexis Michelle, being like, you just don't understand how hard it is for me. Girl, it's hard for everybody. Nobody's allowed to shit off camera. It's hard for everyone.
And, you know, I do her crying when Heidi left. Hilarious.
And then Jessica just sitting there.
Stupidly iconic behavior. Anytime she inserts herself into a situation where she doesn't belong, to be overly emotional, that's really funny. But this mode, this particular, like, I got snapped at, now I'm crying, really was a moment that I did not enjoy watching, because I do liking Alexis as an over-the-top drama queen.
Very Donna Martin.
Yes.
Very Donna Martin energy. Very like over the top, like that girl that like you can't help but root for. The other character I almost said was Tori Spelling's character in Trick, so I have to go.
So just Tori Spelling. You root
Just
for
Tori
her like
Spelling,
Tori Spelling,
where
which
you
is
know
all
you
fair.
do have a ton of talent and power, but you still act and behave a lot of the time like the world is just happening to you.
And especially, you know, this wasn't the Rusical. We watched what this ended up being.
Which was
there were no good parts.
No.
You sort of like, I just have to hope that Alexis is just tired and that this is about that more than it is actually about the actual incident, because it's not worth getting that worked up for this thing for. Any role could have done well or could have done poor, and it's all about what you put into it in a project like this. It wasn't good. It was so exhausting. It wasn't the worst.
No. And I love, this was definitely still better than a lot of more scripted challenges, because these are, you know, a lot of them made certain choices that at least felt better. I want to give...
How viral? Do you remember Miss Vanjie?
It was better than the Cops too, when they did the Reno 911 parody. It was better than that.
To your point, Kevo, I think the only thing with the DA role is it seemed like she came in late and had less screen time, really. And so I could see where that might be a little challenging for someone who to try to make your mark in at least being safe. Because I don't know if you could really win with the DA role unless you're really like, you know exactly what to do. You can make a really funny characterization in a very short amount of time. However, someone like Alexis Michelle, I kind of expect her to be able to do that. I kind of expect, you know, using your theatrics, using your theater.
Yeah.
I feel like, also, I do
like, I want to see her up
time was cut because she was not good.
There's also, you know, how much of this was or wasn't cut. There's always stuff that comes down. A lot of people pointed out she was playing the straight man a little, and there's nothing wrong with playing a straight man, but we kind of saw in week 2 Jimbo playing the straight man, and you literally can win playing the straight man. I think it would have been, there are so many different choices, and I think ways you can go about certain things. Go left field. Go completely left field with your idea of this DA officer. There's so many different things.
Play it like Shirley Temple.
Honestly, start tap dancing.
Oh, no, mister, I'm going to solve this crime.
I mean, okay, you're kind of joking, but would that not be hysterical?
Right. No, if she was like that joke I was saying about Pixar's People to TK, and now that's all I can think about.
If she was really doing like somebody that could never be a DA, because like Ava Dents is exactly that thing too. Like, it's just this character that like would not be a forensic investigator made into a forensic investigator because Jimbo knew what to do. That's not a particularly interesting character.
It was like Jennifer Coolidge light. It was
I would have taken the Bones approach. I would have been like Temperance Brennan.
Say that again.
I would have taken the Bones approach. I would have been like Temperance. That would have been my idea for that character. of very stoic, say everything very bluntly, not realizing what you're saying is very funny. I would love to give 2 very big shout outs to our winner Lala Ree for overacting, really making it funny, great physical comedy, great choices all around of what she was doing.
I just want to say that her performance, just to beyond that, reminded me really of the magic of X-Cops from X-Files, the Cops episode that is considered the pinnacle, the thing that birthed this kind of storytelling.
Yep.
Lala Ree channeled the best that has ever been. Please continue.
Yeah.
So a really big shout out. She literally went home on her improv challenge on season 13, and to come back to know how to really just go for it, knew the character, knew what she wanted to do, made great choices, overacted, was amazing. My other choice that also could have won, Jessica's deadpan delivery of actually acting Jessica's acting was so good that for brief moments, I think people forgot that this was RuPaul's Drag Race and we weren't watching an actual crime documentary.
Yeah, truly. She gave that sort of idiot NPC energy where the person should have never been given a microphone, but now they're on the documentary and they have to talk.
It's just the Taco Tuesday rambling.
All the stuff about guacamole.
It literally went from I love this drink to she likes the soft shell taco, and the EBT card.
ETB card.
ETB card.
ETB card.
You know what? I started laughing. He immediately clocked it. He immediately pointed it out. It was so funny.
I even just realized Jimbo's character is essentially the same as his horror story character. Everything about the look, the glasses, the wig, the being a nerd.
I don't even remember the horror story anymore.
It's not 100%
the
recycled.
The TV show challenge.
Oh,
yeah. The TV show challenge, the American Horror Story. It's the same as the nerd girl who murders everyone, except instead here she's a nerdy scientist, and her disgusting thing is specifically her finger, and but it's essentially the same character. That's disappointing.
All right, guys, I'm gonna say it's time to wrap up Drag Race. So we gotta say goodbye to one Miss Kahana, who is so fucking fine, and we have to congratulate the one and only Miss Lala Ree, who is amazing. Right, time to give Candy Muse her flowers. Candy Muse was not the villain here, but somebody tried to make her the villain, which really wasn't cool because you can see how hard Candy is working on being a better person. And also, look at her trying to show off that figure. I mean, and I say trying to because she's such a costumed woman. It's hard to show off that you've lost weight when you use such extreme exaggeration. But Candy Muse, most improved year to year. Congratulations, Candy. You deserve flowers because I'm pretty hard on you.
I want to thank you for the job well done.
I think we decided Alexis Michelle, most likely to be cast as Tori Spelling.
Yeah, I think she'll love that.
May I ask a final question?
Yeah.
Oh, please.
To wrap us all up, based off of everything so far, who do you think is going to make it to the top? Who do you think is going to make it to that crown?
The problem is we're at a final 5, and I am at a point where I'm so fucking fed up with this show being that's it. It's the top 11. You guys did it. All 11 of you are going to perform in the finale.
5, though. It's never been 5. It's been 4, which is annoying. But so I guess the question becomes, which of these 5 remaining queens do we think won't make it? Because it could be a top 4. You're totally right.
I see the 2 who don't make it be Jessica, unfortunately, because I've fallen madly in love with her. I think she's amazing.
Top 2, bottom 2, yeah.
I think that, unfortunately, as much as I adore her, Lala Ree won't make it. I would worry then about the optics of there not being any queens of color, but it's important to remember that even when a beautiful queen of color is light-skinned, Candy Muse is Dominican and Black, and has talked about both parts of her heritage in her different seasons on the show. So I think the guarantee is Jimbo, and I think the Other guarantee is Candy. I'd really like to see Lala Ree, but I would be okay with Alexis or Jessica, truly.
I think it's definitely Jimbo. I mean, it's definitely Jimbo.
It's Jimbo's season to lose.
Yeah. I think it's definitely Candy. I could see the third person actually being Jessica. She has done very well. And one thing I'm always looking at, I'm kind of like Kevo in that I'm always looking at the numbers. I'm always noticing the trends. I know that they pay attention to them because we have had some wins that really didn't necessarily make sense, except for the fact that like a demographic type of person had not won. And, you know, this is why I was a little surprised that Sasha Colby won. And I think that's a sentiment a lot of people felt.
It's time to give it to the fat one. It's Eureka? No, fat baby. No.
I mean, you know, it has felt like that at times. One of the things that we have not seen is a queen from a very early season who returns to All Stars, making it all the way to the top.
I guess that you don't think Jinx at this point would count as very early.
I'm not counting the All Stars winter season, and I'm also Jujubee, I guess maybe is proving my point for me.
I mean, from where they're at, Kylie Sonique Love is in the top 5.
Yeah, season 6 does do it a little differently. So
what a toxic horse she is. I think she's a nightmare.
I love her.
I love her.
Holy Jesus. She is the, I replaced all of your medication with crushed up Pez. What kind of bitch?
No.
Hey, that's
She's a nice
person
Southern
who
woman.
gets a meal at the end of the night. Everybody else is starving. That girl has a meal.
That's the truest shit. Yeah. Same thing I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could definitely see it being Jessica, although my demographic reason is now maybe out the window. I would love to see Lala. I hope it is not Alexis. I like Alexis a lot. There's a lot that I would see Alexis in. I think she has now pushed me one time too many with her antics, and I would like to not see her in the top 3.
Kevo.
We've all already said Jimbo, so that's one slot. I think we all think Candy Muse is gunning for the top. I think the third would actually be of anyone, Lala Ree. I think Alexis is actually probably my top contender to be the first one dropped. I think it's going to be 4. I think it would be Jessica Wilde before her. No offense, Alexis. I just don't think it's your time, darling.
And you know what? I keep saying it, but like Lala Ree to me is the inheritor of everyone who was told no first. Like, yeah, you're drag queens. Everybody's told no first. Get over it, right? But like, I write musical theater. Okay, I have a career waiting for me. So like, I get it. But like, Lala Ree is too big. She's too loud. Her voice is too deep. She's too masked. She's too aggressive. No, she's none of those things. She's fucking perfect, and she's beautiful, and she's talented, and she's funny. I would love to see Lala Ree really come into a place of success from this season. Oh, Kevo, could you scroll down actually?
No, I was on the wrong screen. I was waiting until we finished. But yeah, no, you wanted to make sure we got this outfit up here.
I wanted to fuck RuPaul in my entire life, ever in my entire life.
I was just trying to look at it real quick because I was trying to remember what the license plate says. Because it looks like
better work.
It looks like it says you butt work.
Oh my god, you better work.
Could you not get there?
It's UBTTWRK. So it looks like you butt work.
I really thought it was butt work kind of thrown away.
I thought it was butt work.
Not be offensive. I
thought it was butt work.
Wow.
No, I this afternoon got Silky Nutmeg Ganache is actually like a name. Like it's like a silky
and a food.
nutmeg ganache. Like it's a ganache that instead of being a chocolate ganache, it's a nutmeg ganache. And instead of being a velvety chocolate ganache.
What did you think was happening?
I thought it was just like
Bianca thought her name was Silky.
What the fuck is the Bianca River? What Bianca River did you grow up near?
White from the river? Bianca Del Rio means white from the river.
Well, you know what? I was thinking like Amazon River, like Amazon Del Rio, like cut off her own boob.
Relax. What does Alexis Michelle mean? That's what he's talking about. Like,
because I now have to make the joke. TK, how's your head?
Oh my gosh, guys, it's super hottie Robbie.
Topic.
Hi, Robbie. I can't decide if I want to go with disgusting or just do a full monologue by Miss Fame.
By Miss Fame.
Oh Jesus, gross.
I think most people kind of, and just to wrap up my final things before I depart, you lovely gentlemen.
Oh, you have one question before you have to leave. You can't leave before you answer a question or two.
Okay. I do think it's Jimbo's season to lose. As RuPaul pointed out, Jimbo has a twisted mind that fits right at home on that stage, and I do think it's Jimbo's season to lose. I don't know if they're going to do a top 3 or a top 4. For All Stars, they've flip-flopped on what they've chosen for wanting to do. If it's going to be a top 3, a top 4, I don't think Alexis Michelle is going to make it. Personal opinion. Not that she wouldn't do great up there, but I don't think that she is.
Personal reason.
And then if I have a
Personal
dream
hatred.
top 3, I would personally love to see the top 3 being Jimbo, Jessica, and Lala. Not that Candy. Not that I'm not. I think the biggest Candy fan here. That I am the biggest Candy fan here. Not that I don't think that she wouldn't have the chops to do it. Not any of that. I just see that is my top 3 that I envision.
Well, speaking of top 3 that you envision, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Rue totally brought the legs out this week. Jeez, it was so hot, Robbie. Thank you so much for that comment.
Nerd.
Rue's in her slutty era, and I love that for Grandma.
So I want to ask a question about Project Runway because Jonah, I believe you only watched the preview.
Yes.
Right? I believe you only saw the old school cast preview that felt so good. And something that I've really enjoyed is I watched every season after 3 kind of live. I fell off at 12 and caught up at 14, fell off, caught up at 17 with you, stuff like that. But like, I grew up with these. Like I was younger than you when I started watching it. I was younger than you were when you started watching it, right? Who for you was the most, I can't believe what I'm seeing transformation? I know that TK, you don't quite agree, but like for me, Victor Luna has grown into such a handsome man that I find like he's just, I'm eager to know him based on his color palette, based on who he's become. Like there's a thickness to him that like it turns out is because of physical therapy after he was attacked by a random man on the street with a machete.
It was Joshua McKinley. Don't tell anyone.
Oh my God, you son of a bitch. That is the funniest joke I've ever heard.
Bert, get the knife!
I'm running as fast as I can, honey.
Oh, jeez.
So for me, Victor, most transformed. Rami, basically the same guy, but daddy aged now, which I think is great. And I sobbed every single second that Kato was on the screen. That was like my dream come true. Her talking about how her children, literally, she's their idol, and that was all she ever wanted. Like such a special thing. Who is your most transformed, and who is your? Yep, that's exactly it. Yep, and please believe you have to answer a question about Karasan before you leave. Either way.
Okay, so I actually have 2 answers for 2 people who I think, wow, this is a transformation. Nora, I think, is the first one, because when, she kind of talks about it on her... Physically, it really is when you kind of have this punk rocky vibe about you, and that you come in with this, a very different aesthetic, a different look. You've done these different things. I was like, okay, that is a huge departure from what I expect and what I remember. And I think it's a pretty, she, if I'm not fully mistaken, she made it the least far out of everybody there.
Yeah.
I think she has the most to prove.
She's the least all-star of the all-stars, but she's still a star. Every one of them. Nobody here sucks.
No, nobody here sucks.
Nobody here sucks.
And then I think the other person who I think personally had the biggest transformation. Um, it's my fan favorite of Hester Sunshine.
Man. And she talks
Hester-
she's been through a lot more than you know from the second episode.
Hester talking about how that Hester feels more aligned with the non-binary on the non-binary spectrum, and that's the kind of art and clothing that Hester wants to make. And it's just that thing of like, you look at her and she's this very quirky, glammed up doll. She wore a lot of makeup. She talks about it. She had this very cute bob that she had dyed. She wore a lot of makeup. She was very femme presenting, and when she realized, I think that's a huge transformation. Just kind of come to realize like that's not where I align anymore. That's not who I am.
Okay, but TK said the funniest thing in the entire world, and I have to bring it up on air because it's all I've been able to think. He's like, but it's kind of like she went from being cutesy, girly, and pretty, and now she's like, I'm in a dark place. And so, like, I can't help but think, like, yeah, it's like she's going to go from having recorded Debbie Gibson's debut to recording The Fragile by Nine Inch Nails. Like, I just really feel like it's going to be ugly art to get ugly, and I am in for every ugly inch.
And I'm in for it too. I worry sometimes when I see that like when they're asking for something glamorous, she's gonna be like, I made something that sucks just to fuck with you.
Yep, that's very Hester.
That's my only concern. So
yes, and it's a justifiable concern. Hopefully that's also something that she has grown out of, but it's definitely something that she did a lot when she had the opportunities, for sure, on her season.
Yeah.
Now, Jonah, last question, and then we'll let you go. We'll go to a quick commercial, and then we'll come right back. But, Jonah, how did you feel about Karazhan?
Oh, it made me scream.
Uma.
It made me scream. It made me happy. It made me joyful. For people who haven't watched Project Runway, who haven't watched the OG first season, like literally Project Runway season 1 along with Top Chef are like the grandfathers to the modern day reality competition show.
Magical elves.
Like it's like we owe them a lot for what we have today.
Oh yeah.
So we pay massive respect to the OGs. Karazhan is the original front runner. And I guarantee was supposed to win and was going to if it was not for Shoegate.
Shoegate changed how I felt about television for the rest of my life. So basically, it's clearly Karazhan's season to lose. She finds out that due to a technicality, she doesn't have the proper kind of receipt to itemize for her shoes. She was not allowed to get the kind of help she got, and she misunderstood or didn't care, whichever it was, but I'm not here to judge. Whichever it was.
20 years ago.
The producers leave in her having a phone call, a one-sided phone call with her friend who made the shoes. So just make up whatever price is good, like $1 or $2, whatever, just so I have a receipt.
You think. Yep.
And the producers leaving it in was specifically to shame her. And it was the moment I came to realize that reality TV, the show itself, is alive.
And I am so excited. I am so excited that she's here because they also talk about it. She was the first black contestant. She was the first black female contestant ever, and she made it to, New York Fashion Week. And so I'm so excited that we get to, pay respect and pay tribute to her. Because like, look at the Descendants. Those costumes are it.
They make the movies. I'm not exaggerating
Truly.
in any way, shape, or form. They're very
not
cute
the songs.
films, but it is the production design hugely that makes those movies so lovable and so fun. And knowing that she was such a huge part behind it is very, very, very cool. Such an amazing job. I can't even... Did such an amazing job that by the second movie, one of the characters being a fashion designer is an element of the film.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a... Like, that's how good her designs are, that it became an element of the plot. That's good stuff.
Seeing her and China Anne McClain with the same braids, it was so beautiful and magical. And seeing her here, tells me that between her and production, everything is good. That they're literally, like you said, Kevo, it was literally 20 years ago. We can move on. We can say like, hey, it was a bad moment. Let's see what you can do. And she's like, absolutely, I'm gonna bring it. And so I'm so excited she's here. You actually have no idea.
And like that, they're all the ones that got away, according to Nina Garcia, except for Anna, who has production in a lawsuit for nearly murdering her.
And now she came back pregnant, so like
No, she came back, having given birth like 6 weeks ago.
I get confused because I have that production image during this photo shoot. She's clearly still pregnant. I keep forgetting she had the baby and was expecting her to show up pregnant. But like, look at this outfit. No,
you like go to a Sears portrait studio with a green screen.
She was pregnant at this shoot. Let's not even pretend.
Shoot or boot. Oh my God, she's pregnant. Don't shoot her.
Shoot or boot. Shot out the baby and showed up on production.
With boot.
It's a 2, which means we like it.
Well,
gave that baby the boot.
I believe it's time to give you the boot, and then we're gonna tune on into a commercial. But Jonah, like, it's so great getting to talk about these shows that we love with you. You are gonna miss, unless you come back at 8 o'clock or 8:30. You're gonna miss some Crime Scene Kitchen, which
the best show, the literal best show.
Literally,
I don't want to get too far into it though, especially without you here and without me being better prepared. But we're gonna talk about it to ramp up, covering it some heavy duty for sure.
That was absolutely it's a Jersey Shore saltine crust. Fuck you. What a great moment of television.
The last thing I will say, and you can go to commercial right after this. Nothing will ever be funnier in the entire show, and any show across anywhere, than people freaking out over seeing other people's desserts.
It's our
and
favorite.
Whispering. Wait, what? I didn't see that clue. Wait, is it that? No, it can't be that. The amount of panic, anxiety, snobbishness,
it's
worry.
that feeling when somebody says what they got as the correct answer on a test that you've
and everybody else got a different answer, and you're all just start arguing.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing in the entire world, and it's only on this show.
Yeah.
Only on this show.
Yep.
Well, Jonah, you are my favorite way to spend Father's Day. So thank you so much for being with the two men that you spend your life with, and your super handsome uncle. And
Note that I reversed.
You got it.
I'm like on TikTok.
Thanks for spending Father's Day with us. We're going to hop to that commercial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out more amazing content. We have some cool surprises coming your way. As always, more cool score. This is, of course, my arrangement of Lizzo's About Damn Time. And check out the awesome episodes that are linked to or mentioned in these awesome commercials, because whether it's Billy Club or it's my original work in Young Men in Love, Kevo kills it with these commercials, making it so easy to jump in. So, Jonah, thanks for the hour, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So where we left off, we were talking Project Runway. And the thing I want to talk about to start things off with Project Runway is the hardest part of fashion is that fashion is subjective and it transforms and it ages. And stuff that was hideous once upon a time becomes beautiful. And something that I can't help but think about is season 1, the most melodious contestant I can think of, Wendy Pepper, who for many years was like believed to be like Satan herself, and has since gone on to pass away, which, you know, all said and done, she was not an actual supervillain. She was a real woman, and it's very sad that, you know, her family lost her, you know, legitimate grievances to the you know, Pepper family for how they were treated as well by fandom. But I think back to season 1's finale and the original runway collections and the Wendy Pepper pasty dress. And then I go to the Hester Sunshine pasty dress. And sure fucking enough, they put the Hester Sunshine pasty dress in this episode. And Hester is the first one to say, actually, pasty dresses are kind of in now. So I don't need to do that much to this. So I have to do something different to it. And that is the hardest part about starting this whole season off with, let's look at the old outfits. That made this tough. That said, Bijmi is still the sweetest, handsomest guy on TV, and I love him.
Yeah, maybe not the right direction to start off with for this first episode of what is a weird mashup of an all-star season and the normal show, because it is not called All-Stars and it is just the normal show, but it is an all-stars cast and general format. That's already odd, and to do the revisit, in a lot of cases, we're talking about people that were on this show 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not even that that's just a bad idea. Like, they might do something really interesting. They might really blow you away with how different the thing is. But is it relevant?
Great question. Really, really great. That's the word. Relevant.
Is it relevant? That's, you know, Kara-san does something different when some of these contestants were here like 18 months ago. Like, aren't those two very different revisits?
What a great thing to highlight. I agree, because it's not that there isn't room for both, but it's an unfair playing field.
And it just kind of impertinent.
And it's such a Project Runway tradition to do an oddball for the first challenge, but what a challenging first challenge to make all the contestants be confronted with that failure. It's no wonder that one of them had such a reaction. That's kind of a daunting thing to ask them to do, and I get doing it so early because you want as many of them as possible to do this thing that you think on paper sounds really cool, but like, maybe that's one of those things you should consult a psychologist on. Making these people confront their greatest failure from live television, again on live television, without any warning. Some of them on a boat again, which is very traumatizing for these people. Garments fall out, and models don't show up, and things happen on boats, and it's very triggering.
And speaking of triggering, it'd be like making Shea Coulee swim through a bed of rose petals. But, we're talking about how these are all stars, and every one of them is kind of like an actual superstar or a gets far or a fan favorite. Like, I think he's fine, but I'm not the world's biggest Fabio fan. He is sacred to fandom. He is like, I'm shocked Anya isn't here, to be honest, but I don't think she's willing to tarnish her win, and none of them are winners. Though Fabio does look unbelievably handsome this season, and I comment on that because he had been kind of like crunchy granola, kind of hippie-ish in a way that he feels a lot more cleaned up now. And presented, but like, do I think that means he's no longer Crunchy Granola Fabio? No, I think he's probably still Crunchy Granola Man.
No, yeah, this comparison photo. But I feel like he's refined the look in a way that he can work better with it, which a lot of people do when they come out the other side of a reality competition like this, for sure. As much as we were talking about all the ones that have changed, it's really cool to see the ones who have sort of grown into a look that we already saw them as starting.
Exactly. If anything, Rami seems maybe just a little more relaxed, but he's still Rami.
Yes.
I mean, he is still, like, it's so funny because I'd never really seen myself. I'd always been like attracted to older men, but like I'd never really seen myself as like into like the very dominant, maybe like Middle Eastern sort of stereotypes that Rami kind of represented in that early season. Whereas now I'm like, oh, give me all the hot Middle Eastern daddies on the planet. And it's so fascinating that Rami protoed that type for media and has sort of grown into the successor and sort of receiver of that type existing. If it weren't for Rami in season 4 inspiring men to be themselves, there wouldn't be a world in which Rami Kashu in 2023 kind of looks like any hot guy.
Yeah.
And
the Glee effect or the Modern Family effect, where that's much more common now because of these people from the earlier seasons who helped break that ground. Yeah, absolutely. Christian.
The amount of touching Christian and Rami did. So I've always had this theory that they would go back at night and Christian would be like, Rami, just fuck me real quick. And Rami would be like, all right. And would like fuck Christian. The best Christian has just ever been fucked. And then Rami would be like,
so we're not trying to have them on this show.
I'd love it if they wanted to, but like this was my 19-year-old theory, like as a kid. As an adult, seeing them be real men and affectionate and real people, there's something so much better than that funny fantasy, very hot, especially now. Good God, look at them. But like, just they're such realized people that it makes that fantasy of who they were, this idealized, oh, look at this hot body in the 90s. That's not what reality shows are anymore. You have to be a personality. Nobody's rooting for you to be hot anymore. And I love that about this.
And for as much as when we saw the preview of the cast and saw that Rami was going to be one of the ones joining, I was, elated imagining this confrontation, remembering the contentious race between these two. That's part of why I chose this when I was getting everyone's comparison photos. This was one of the better ones that came up. So I was like, yeah, it was a thing where like everyone sort of thought it was going to be Rami, and it really came down to the wire. I remember that dance from the opening. And for as much as I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens, when what happened was them getting along amazingly well, I was like, that's great. That's, oh my God, I love it. It's so cute. Because yeah, the drama is fun, but also seeing these people be grown-ups is fun, especially on a show like this, which is generally such nonsense. They're gonna have to make some clothes with food at some point this season, with garbage.
Next week they're making shit with teddy bears.
It's a ridiculous television program, and so for as much as it's fun to see people, bicker, it's also fun to see them work together because the drama will come. Someone's gonna collapse under the weight of this competition at some point, so it doesn't need to be interpersonal.
It's not going to be Mila's forehead because that thing's held up in place forever. Her work is some of the best work I have ever seen in television history.
I couldn't get a bigger picture of her bangs. I wanted to. I'll try for next week.
Unbelievable. She looks younger now. I'm so glad there isn't like a famous recorder that just follows you around everywhere. It's just like Roger Bart on Revenge doesn't just follow you everywhere. I am famously very hard on Mila. I thought that she played a very manipulative game in season 7, and I could not live have told you how in God's name she made it to the finale. And then rewatching the show with Jonah, I came to realize that I'm a dumb kid, or I was a dumb kid. And Mila's just a phenomenally talented costume designer. And so then she updates us that that's her life now. And it just like, I understand how Project Runway isn't Drag Race culturally anymore. But for me, these are like people that I have held as like heroes for so long, just for being themselves. Like, I don't expect to, like, when I think of Koto, because like Koto is like one of my favorite people in the entire history of Project Runway. The thing that makes her my hero, that she did a We Grow fashion line for Black women that are also weed growers that also make fashion. Like, it's an intersectionality of like fashion for Black women is important. Black women also smoke weed. So like, why not explore that intersection? She wants to make her children proud. Like, what an amazing chance to see a woman that as a young woman inspired me to go after my dreams, and now as an adult man I get to like see her and be like, wow, you know, dude, I know you don't know her yet, but like, she was an Anya in terms of like sacredness. Fandom would like die on like a pile of dynamite for her. And it's beautiful to see these people who are people to me, not characters. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled, and it just feels good.
And you know, I think that is one of the big differences between Drag Race and Project Runway is these are all very much just people plying their craft, and Drag Race is that, but then there are layers of characters being played, and falling in love with that character is very much a part of the game, but forgetting that the real person is there means possibly losing, even if the character is beloved. And it's just very complex and interesting and fun, and makes for high drama and great TV and all that stuff. But you know, there are really times where it's just like, gosh, I really just wanted to see if that person could construct a garment, or like if that person could just sing a song.
Can't you just be fucking normal for one fucking minute?
Or don't be, but don't make me kind of shift back and forth between trying to figure out if you're a garbage person or if the character you're playing is one. And you know, it really is just fun sometimes to be like, oh, okay, they're just trying to get to the end of the day.
I feel like in Drag Race, it's hard to sometimes read the line between person and character, whereas on Project Runway, y'all aren't supposed to be playing characters.
Right.
So when y'all blur the line and start forgetting if you're a person or a character, you're not a character. You're a person, and you're not supposed to be performing. You're just supposed to be presenting.
And like, when you have somebody like Joshua McKinley, who's clearly hamming it up for the reality TV show cameras and trying to seize upon tense moments,
drop dead,
to just create more. You're closer to death than I am.
I am. Put the clocks in.
It comes off odd. It comes off as very odd, and it distracts in ways that I don't think are at anybody's benefit.
All right, so I need to say that this is literally maybe too hard for me to pick who might get far. The only person I did not have a way to the top 3 in my heart, the only person who I could not see in the top 3 just went home. Nora went home first. It was Nora. Yeah, it was Nora versus Kara, so it was season 1 for last place. Yikes. When I would definitely give last place to season 3.
I feel like they're already targeting Kara in ways that I don't appreciate, though.
Thank
like,
you. Why
nice
are you going after my fucking Kara-san? Why would you go after her?
Comments? Like, why did you invite her back? Did you not look into what her career was before inviting her back or something? It came across as
her
very
Emmy nominations
snide.
are threatening.
Yeah, and after making such a big deal about You're all of the ones that I want back. Because I always hate language like that personally, because it's just so facetious and fake. Yeah, okay, sure. I really 100% believe out of the dozens and dozens of contestants you've ever had, this is definitely 100% all 14 the only people that you wanted to come back for this season. Guaranteed, no lie, all of them number one. No. First of all, and second of all, if you're going to say that and then you're going to make snide comments about Karasan, who's had very significant work, it's just weird and rude and very below Nina Garcia, personally. Nina, I take you very seriously. And I take this show a lot more seriously because I know it's a lot more a real industry than RuPaul's Drag Race is just RuPaul's game show. And so if you want us to take this seriously... You know, it just that really upset me and really bothered me for a season that we were so hyped on and so looking forward to, and for how much we talk about how serious this show is. Don't make comments like that about your contestants and the work that they have done since then, because it's your show that helped them get this work. Are you proud of that or not?
And I just want to
Baloney!
Baloney! I just want to give it up to the contestants that we haven't mentioned by name yet. Or the ones that I've just said look hot. Victor really rolled with it when his model didn't show up. That was amazing.
Oh my god.
That's some Morgan shit. Season 1. Looking at you, Morgan. Hope you show up. Morgan is a model in season 1 who took the garment home and ruined it. And had to wear it on the runway the next day. Ridiculous. Project is incredible. So unbelievably talented. I love his sharp blue suit. It's such a sharp, bright blue suit. And he's so talented. He's so cool. He doesn't miss a beat. Brittany is another one that I was hard on in her season that I'm really excited to see this new woman she's grown into. No reason to not give her a chance. You know, I will say the bun is a little tight for me.
I also forgot about this 5-6 until I was making the card. I was like, what does that mean? Oh my god, right. It was one of those things where you're eliminated, then you're brought back, someone else messes up, but then you're eliminated again anyway. Why did you even come here?
I just want to remind you, Kevo, that her season is the season that the Cuban man says that the best era for America was the 1950s, and everything was fair and everybody had a chance.
Here's why this was the greatest era and why we need to make America great again. Wait, what does that phrase mean? Oh, no.
Do you remember how it really frustrated you, TK, when you were like, God, of course you're obsessed with Rosé? When you see this gentleman, Sergio.
Hot gay Ted Cruz.
That's a lot of conflicting descriptors, but okay. We'll get there together.
And all he makes are ball gowns. I fell in love with him the minute he opened his mouth, and it just got better every time he said something awkward that I had to defend. Anyway, Brittany's from that season, which is literally one of our favorite seasons. The winner of that season is like actually one of the most talented winners in the history of the 20 seasons of the show.
Oh, such a wonderful man.
Makes whole seasons look like his collection for me made whole seasons look like they lacked a hit. Ridiculous how talented the winner of season 18 is. It's just actually a joke.
I'm into it.
But you need to see 17 to understand 18. So
okay.
And then I just want to say Laurence. Laurence is actually one of Jonah's favorite contestants ever. He loves her. I love her. I love anyone who says I'm a model who became a designer and now I design with the model in mind. What a beautiful thing to say. That's it. I just wanted to really give everybody their flowers because, again, it's just a season of hit makers. And, Nora's husband in the little bit they showed, what a hot couple. Get it, Paget family. Damn.
Yeah.
I'm on my way to my touching. And I'm going to be touching. Okay, so that takes us through the end of Project. Oh, Kane won. Kane, Kane, who is actually borderline unrecognizable, not because he's grown into a man from the very twinkish boy he was, but because I keep thinking now he's Tyne Daly. And I used to
That
think
happens
he
sometimes
was
to gay
in
men.
5. It really does. I look like Rosie O'Donnell in a baseball cap, so
I would have also accepted that he is Tig Notaro, having been given the Hulk serum.
Some gay men age into Golden Girls, and as long as you do it fabulously, it is what it is. I'm sure
Chick
that there is
smash. This
I'm sure-
Mycelium drive doesn't pass muster.
I'm sure there is a large sweater out there calling my name for when I reach 60. So,
And it's gonna embrace you and love you so good. But actually, Kane, that transformation, that garment, the second I
Yeah.
saw it come down the runway, I actually said, "Oh, you know what? That is the most transformed. That is incredible, incredible." God damn it, man! That is a winner any episode. Does not matter the challenge. This guy produced a look. Okay, we're going to be talking about Project Runway pretty much every week because it's my favorite show literally on television, and I'm not going to back down from that very much.
And that's the joy of reality TV. It's actually fun to check in on.
But I do want to check in on a show that's going to start in 5 effing minutes.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
We have a new great food truck road race. And
yeah.
It's so cool to get to spend Father's Day with my food daddy. I do think genuinely Tyler Florence isn't just like a handsome guy, because I'm always making jokes about how horny I am for like hot, thick guys. Yeah, but like he's, as somebody who has worked in education, he is somebody who actually mentors and teaches and is compassionate, but pushes them and knows when to show displeasure. Like, I truly love Tyler Florence as a teacher, and so when he produces a show that enables people to chase their dreams, it's always important because you're not going to win. Most people are not going to win, and that sucks. But the lessons he gives are lessons that you could use to run your own truck in 5 years. And I'm also, unfortunately, a little bit like a person who thinks that the entrepreneurial spirit of the 1950s projection, not the projection, not the real 1950s, but like what we were told it was, that just get in the truck and make it happen dream of America, and the idea of driving across it. And there's something about this that really captures my love of the American spirit, but because you can just look at this crew and you can see that this is not the problematic 1950s. I feel fulfilled that this is the American dream, just truck by truck, vegan truck, crepier. Just, it's cool. And this is probably my number 2 ever. Oh my God, there is a crepier. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there's also a vegan truck, I think. Yeah,
no, I saw the vegan truck. That one I saw.
You can tell which ones they are just from...
You can always tell the vegan
pants.
truck by looking at it. And the tall man is always on the vegan truck. So TK, you've watched a little food truck road race, but Kevo, you have seen not just every minute of Great Food Truck Road Race, but you have seen whole seasons of people from Great Food Truck Road Race on other shows.
That is correct. As we mentioned in our previous coverage, getting hyped on this, we especially loved these boys over on Worst Cooks in America, and therefore followed them over to their season of Food Truck Road Trip,
where the guys from Just Wing It.
Yeah. Gosh, it's just such a fun show. And really the biggest thing I think for me is it's the teams, and it's how vastly different the teams are every season. You have generally certain types that you see every year, probably a pizza-ish or burger-ish truck.
I love the black cuisine truck.
But
There's
like,
always
yeah,
the black cuisine truck. Like they all went to the Sorbonne, and they also love hip hop, and like it's
like
just
you
always the
said,
coolest truck.
like you said, the creperie makes sense. Jamaican tacos, that makes sense to me. Creole Kitchen makes sense to me. I swear to God, we've had at least 2 other trucks with
Named
the words Creole Kitchen in the name. So this Four Hens Creole Kitchen.
I'm just wondering where the
Sure.
Tika truck is.
Yeah, no. Maybe it's the block. Who knows? You never know. You never know. Maybe these people from Indianapolis are the Tika truck this year. People always surprise you.
The bald guy could have a Tika guy on it.
So yeah, it's everyone's truck is different colors and different themed, and all the dynamics are different. Whether it's a bunch of friends, whether it's family, whether it's people who literally just met and are just doing this for the first time together, which bold choice. I always love when it's one parent and the 2 children. Especially that one season where it was like teenagers and they couldn't figure out how to turn the truck on, so they went home in the first episode. Great job, everyone. Great showing. I hope they're okay somewhere out there. I wouldn't have lived that down. I would have changed my name.
They actually, I hope, now run a advise you not to do bad ideas business.
They own a truck rental company. They went into trucks. They would never be caught unawares about trucks again.
Well, this debuted 1 minute ago. So, the bald guy, Depura Kepa, Lisa's Creperie, 2 Jamaican girls tacos, Paisani, maybe not Paisani, but you guys are hot.
Leave them alone. You don't even know them yet.
No, but there's always like whenever it's like Paisani, it's always like
from Boston.
It's always the way that the truck is presented on the show. It has nothing to do with the truck, but there was like the brothers from Paisani, like
Ryan, Matthew, and Tommy.
They always, the producers make those guys annoying, and it has nothing to do with those guys. I mean, but like, I know how easy it would be to make me annoying. I know it's in me. So if you showed a picture of me, I'd be like,
that guy.
4 Hens Creole. I'm always here for the Creole truck. Creole is always such a great truck. It's always got that good slow roast flavor. They make it the night before. It sits on the truck. It tastes so good the next morning. Easy vegan, good walk. You're vegan, but you're not like ethnically flavored. Oh, okay.
Those overalls.
That's not at them. That's at the historical
track
performance. Yeah. Kahana, great to see you've bounced back from your elimination on Drag Race. And the block, you guys have the best colors between that purple, the yellow, and that
mysterious.
Green. Indianapolis, the block, everything about that. You guys are my team to watch this year.
The zoom in of this truck, this gives me no further answers about what their food is. It's just a whole bunch of different people of a bunch of different races. I have no idea what your food is. I really hope it's like that Happy Endings episode, Pangea Grill, where they just have some of everything on this truck.
I hope so, but they're my number 1 team right now because they have the most, if I saw it, of all the trucks, I'd go up to it.
Oh, yeah. Super
That
curious.
would be the one I'd look at the menu for.
I also think this truck looks really cool. Jamaican taco.
Can I tell you the reason that I'm kind of not gonna buy from them? Because they need to be playing Thompson Twins when I walk up, or Ben Folds 5, because there's 3 of them. Also, I'm gonna be honest. I do. Pakistani inspired.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay.
You probably won't be tikka masala, but it'll have it'll be our spice truck. It'll be the spicy truck with it. That's the truck that does all the spicy food. Let's go look at them.
Oh.
I think Tyler. Oh God, they are good looking boys.
I know.
Tyler Florence produces a really good show, and he really does try to facilitate dreams, and it makes me feel good. Although I do need to say, can you just go back 1 truck?
Yeah.
The woman on the left is literally like how you dress a running character in a video game.
Yes.
Down to the perfection of the tights. Like that woman clearly takes her look seriously, and that is an edge on this. I'm not like that's why I had to stop and go back. Like that's an edge on this show. When you take it that seriously, they're all in red and black. They look clean.
Yeah.
They look pristine. Those sneakers are fucking boss. This is
And
a
that
truck
is-
visually that's gonna thrive.
And not only visually that's going to thrive, but that is a great outfit to be wearing working on this truck. Part of why
Yeah.
I'm making fun of the Easy Vegan is, oh my
That's
god,
a
you're
white
gonna
fucking
sweat
t-shirt,
your
man.
tits off. You're gonna sweat your tits off in those overalls, and it's gonna go right through that white t-shirt. Absolutely. That is not what you wear when you work on a food truck.
You wear something dark blue, and you have white on the overalls because there won't
wear-
be.
Well, you wear
sweat
something light. You don't
there.
wear something heavy like that. And that's why this running outfit is great.
Anyway,
You know, this is probably good. That's probably a good outfit.
You know, I actually want to say, Creperie, thank you for bringing back to them. Pink
Sure.
is bold. Pink is a really hard color to sell with, actually, like marketing wise. It's not an easy color to sell with. And I think if you're going to lean into a hard to sell idea, look how New Orleans they're going with the Fleur de Lis and Paris. They're really leaning into a look. They themselves have that we're those girls kind of vibe. And man, you know, that's actually one of the other things. I learned so much about marketing from this show, just like watching how these trucks do and don't hit the mark. I just root for every one of these teams. This show brings me so much happiness. It's like playing Monopoly. I just root for everybody to do well. But I root for me to do the best. And I'm going to bankrupt all of you. Give me your truck. Wait, what? Okay, last show. Crime Scene Kitchen. Okay. When we started Crime Scene Kitchen, it was because I have always thought Joel McHale was kind of hot. You know, the soup, and then how trend out he got on Community was a gift. The Dean thought so, but you know, Jeff lost track. He had that genuinely brilliant return of Card Sharks. Like, I am such a fan of Card Sharks in the first place. It was why we had to watch it, because any card-based game show deserves your time and attention. But Card Sharks does. And Alexis Gobb, model from Card Sharks, was so fucking good on Card Sharks. She is now a member of the TPIR family and is the newest model on The Price is Right. So Alexis Gobb, Card Sharks, really, really, you know, if one more time my smart home device thinks that I'm talking to it. So we lost Card Sharks, but we get this. And I'm watching it like, whatever. From minute 1 of season 1, this is amazing. And then season 2, these were the 2 best episodes of the series. And like, we can't talk about it without Jonah, because he will leave an actual crime scene. But these were the 2 best episodes. What a great, I mean, I was in love with the guy who won in season 1. He was so hot.
Let's start at the very beginning, and let's talk a little bit about what even is the premise of this show, because it is
one of a kind. Yeah,
absolutely. And once we started watching it, why hadn't anyone come up with it before? It is such a fascinating concept, and there is constantly something to be doing on this show throughout every step. It's so cool.
So Teak, you came to this show a little later than us, right? I think we told you about it, or we were like, watch it. And I believe you watched the 2-part premiere, right? One of the things that really gets me about this show, that they actually keep the groups apart. Drag Race doesn't really even do that often. Like, I love this. You can only handle 6 groups of 2 at a time. We cannot pile them all together. I think a lot of shows would benefit from this format, actually.
I was going to say, I think it's the correct instinct.
What I don't want is another goddamn next level chef fucking pros versus amateurs, which is Davids versus Goliaths over on food trucks. Like, I am burnt out on These are the people that got good at it during COVID. These are the people that paid $120,000 a year to do it at the Sorbonne. Have fun. Like,
That is what we're getting here, though.
how do you feel about that? As somebody who, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. As somebody who dabbles in many fields, is a professional in many as well, but knows the difference in the two.
I would have been on episode 1. I would have been on the not professionally trained chefs one. I do cook as part of how I make my living, but I am not classically trained. I also love that they kept saying classically trained. And some of them were classically trained. Some of them just like went to cooking school or patisserie school. But I really don't know. I mean, you mentioned some circumstances that allow one to be able to compete in a show like this when you're not a professional chef, that do kind of make me be like, okay, but if you have a lot of money and you decide not to go to school, you can kind of buy your way into cooking more professionally. Does that give you the bona fides to come onto a show like this? I don't know. And like, the way you acquire the knowledge to be able to investigate a crime scene kitchen. So, for anybody who's still not sure what's going on here, at the start of each episode, the kitchen that these contestants are all using is laid out all as though somebody has just left from cooking the dish. There are clues that they investigate. So there will be a mixing bowl filled with the remnants of pastry cream. There will be in the dishwasher, there will be a strainer. This season, right off the bat, they go really deep. There are clues in the trash. There is a purse that you have to open up.
Fucking orders.
Yeah.
That was great. I love that.
Sick. I would not have ever gotten to
Atlantic Boardwalk lime cream pie or whatever.
Yes. And
oh my gosh.
I would be curious to know if any of the professional chefs would have gotten that one. And that's a pretty deep cut. And it just makes me wonder, if you are not a professional, how are they vetting these people really well? Like, how do you know some of these? Like, how did you acquire this skill set to be able to go this hard? And if you have it, if you worked for it, even if you weren't classically trained, like at that point, does that even matter?
That sort of becomes the question. Like, I'm going to level. I've taken a lot of lessons for a lot of instruments and a lot of like musical training over the years, but by far the instrument I am the best at is the guitar. Like, if there was something you were like, what can you play at an actual professional live concert level? Yeah, I could play guitar at a professional concert level. That's like, I'm that confident in my ability on air to say it that way.
Sure.
And never once took a lesson. Never.
Right. Guitar
makes sense to me. I've taken piano lessons from like 10 piano teachers and I'm still terrible. And I could play live. It's fine. I can do it, but it's bad. It takes all my focus. And so oh my God, Kevo, thank you. You're the best.
I know, yeah. You want more pictures of them? There's more.
We made a lot of jokes about how unnaturally close this very gay son was with his very tense mother. Unnaturally close, sitcom levels of close. They would be realtors on a
Norman
season of
Bates
Family.
Bates Motel levels of close.
Yeah, it's something else. God, I love this show. But so I've taken so many piano lessons from so many piano teachers. If you ask me to justify my piano experience, Jesus Christ, Kevin, you're amazing. I could justify my piano credentials through experience. Like TK, like you're kind of saying, like, what experiences could you have that could justify these things? But like,
what justifies this?
If you asked me to audition with guitar, I could probably blow you away compared to my piano skills. And like this show in particular, I think makes room for that. They don't ask the home bakers to justify why they're there, perhaps the way Next Level Chef does. And it just makes me excited. I really thought this back-to-back premiere was just a knockout.
I thought it was really good. I was very Sherry and Sally, the classically trained team that showers together, were a fascinating exercise in what makes a great reality TV show contestant. And it's just going to be really interesting to see. There were some real personalities, and I don't know how they will all. I'll be really interested to see what happens when they all come together. I'm very curious to see if Ricky and DJ ever get to meet T and Fadi. Because that's just two different types of kitchen homosexuals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's great.
But can I tell you, whatever sitcom they produce would be top tier.
Yes.
That's what makes keeping them separate a little more frustrating. I want to see these personalities interact more. But that's fine.
Do you know what makes this show so good? And do you know what makes Joel McHale uniquely suited for it?
Pancakes.
By premise, it's snobby. It's not how talented are you at baking. It's how much experience do you have knowing how to make and have tasted and experienced every type of fancy fucking cake. It's not just how talented are you, it's how experienced are you. And that Hendrixification of the question is sort of what makes Joel McHale excellent, because beyond an unbelievable shelf-like set of encyclopedias bound to his rib cage and sternum as though they are still pectorals, and outside of the least convincing plugs line ever, but please believe me, it's incredible. Great job, sir. You and Mateo Lane, some good-ass plugs, my brothers. Definitely Ben Affleck. But beyond that, he's smart. You can think he's annoying, but his level of humor intelligence is exceptional. And I could not take this show from... I'm sure Lonnie Love is brilliant and is an electrical engineer. But one of the bits of her humor is she's constantly like, I don't know. Damn. If she just constantly shouted that at the cakes, I wouldn't love it as much as Joel McHale being like, well, obviously this makes sense. Of course, who wouldn't put a saltine with a lemon custard? And I love that difference, because I would take Lonnie Love hosting every other food show.
It's very similar energy to Will Arnett on Lego Masters.
Yes! Yes! And it's exactly why I'm funny, I'm a clown, I pretend to be gay. It's a minstrel show.
Eric Stone Street
is a very different kind of host on Domino Masters. He's an uncomfortable novice whose engagement with the media is exciting because he's learning about it in a way that's new. And I do agree with you that Joel McHale really aligns with that Will Arnett energy from Lego Masters. Astute observation. So, boys, thoughts on Crime Scene Kitchen before we close on out?
I want to save them for when we can really dig into it, but this does have the makings for a really fantastic season. I really do recommend everybody watch it. Play along. Like, this is start paying attention to the clues. And you know, it legitimately, you can learn something about cooking and food by really paying attention to these clues and trying to understand. They always explain at the end of a segment why you ought to have known that the dish was the dish based on the clues. It's a really solid educational experience if you really pay attention. And just like as somebody who makes a lot of food, should you watch one like this first one and see the Atlantic boardwalk pie, nobody got that except this one team, and
they were so unsure,
right? And I don't think anybody on the pros would have gotten it either. So like part of it is that thing of like even the pros are not as smart as we all think they are, and they don't necessarily know. So anyway, but it's a great show, and it's going to be really fascinating to watch it play out for this first half before the teams merge.
Yeah.
You know, Kevo, one of the things I love the most about this show with you is you bring a unique sense of entertain me to cooking shows. Cause like I come because like I've heard of an Atlantic boardwalk pie. I am from an hour and a half from Atlantic City. Food means everything to me. But like, you know, season 1, episode 1, somebody made a dequois. And so like, and they got it right. And so now everybody guesses that everything is a dequois, even when it's like literally none of the things that go in a dequois. And like, so Kevo, you're not in this for the dequois. You're in this for how are these people thriving at this thing that they love?
Or bombing.
Yeah, or bombing, because nobody ever bombs on this show in a way where like they go home and nobody's going home and Jenny Jonesing it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
You know, how do you feel when it's a subject matter that's not your wheelhouse? Like, you know, you make a mean pork chop, babe, don't get me wrong, but you're not like lining up to make those pork chops.
No, yeah, I think with this show in particular, it is really entertaining to specifically watch how panicked the people get. Whether they're professional, whether they're an amateur, it doesn't seem to matter. Everyone just sort of seems to get very lost under the pressure in very unique ways. Whether it's opening and closing your oven too much so that your item doesn't bake, whether it is completely missing entire items that are right on the counter, whether it's forgetting to add elements to your ingredients in the early stages because you're just so flustered. There's so many different ways that people just completely in fun and unique ways absolutely beef this. And gosh, it's really fun to see.
Well, until they come back to make a cake out of beef. I want to take a look at our board for a minute because Kevo makes that amazing previews board. He makes the what's coming, the what's happening, and I can do that. I have a list. So the board of many things. I love this thing. Many movies you have to talk about in some cool movie episodes. We're of course going to keep going with our coverage of Strange New Worlds, Indiana Jones, personal favorite of mine. Definitely an aesthetic I've stolen my entire life. Lower Decks, Bring It, Space Faggots. You know, Elemental had a really not what they wanted opening. It had a pretty low bow, and it had kind of middling reviews. You know, there is no Pixar movie that doesn't make its money on the back end. You know, Flash also had a pretty pitiful opening at 60 million. Yikes.
Yeah.
You know, but here's what I do want to say about Elemental. It is a formula that Pixar has used a lot, and it's sort of becoming like, if Pixar wants to make the Pixar anthropomorphic movie of the year, they can, which is great, but then they should make something else as well. Disney makes a princess movie in November, and they make a something else movie in May. And if you guys want to do that at Pixar, you can. I'm so here for the anthropomorphic movie at Christmas. But then for summer, I probably want the cool superhero movie. I want the action adventure movie. I want the period piece adventurers movie. Like, I want something else. Elemental looks great. I'm very into the character designs. They are the most excited I've been about a character design out of Pixar since Mr. Incredible was the hottest fucking character design. Oh no, the dad in Inside Out is the single hottest cartoon ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Let me come make you a dad again. Come here. So anyway, and now that I'm not fucking cartoons, Elemental, Haunted Mansion, Ahsoka, man, Ahsoka, every time I look at this fucking poster, I'm like, yeah, I got time to do Rebels. Dude,
Maybe.
she's such a fucking queen, dude. And she's gonna be related to RuPaul someday when she marries Cory Booker. So
Oh yeah. That's cute.
they're still together as far as we know. So and the Marvels, you are so far away, but it feels like every day we get closer to you. It's been time well earned. I only wish that it wasn't just Iman Vellani. I wish it was also Amani Coppola, and the theme song to this film was Legend of a Cowgirl. It's such a beautiful day. It's such a beautiful day. I think I'll wear my brand new negligee. I think I'll change my mind about 1,000,000 times. Ain't no man got to say what to say. So
I don't even know what that means.
With a cameo from Iman.
so Debbie Harry says
I wasn't asking.
the other day. Debbie Harry says, "I'm sitting with Bowie in the '70s, and he just takes his giant cock out." And the interviewer was like, "Oh, was that upsetting for you? Did you feel violated because you were flashed?" And she was like, "No, you should have seen it. I felt lucky." It was a very different situation back then. You never would have thought to say no. So like. That didn't even enter my mind. So I just have a fond memory of it. That's what it is. And I'm like, Debbie Harry, sweetheart, call me.
You are all of us.
Call me. I want to talk to you a little bit. But
Just gonna pick that brain, sweetheart.
I just Fast Five Freddy. Oh my God, mistake. So no, but that fucking Maria album from the 90s was killer. So really golden age of Blondie. It was like when Pretenders did Viva El Amor, and it had like Baby's Breath and Human. That was bonkers record. Okay, does anybody have anything else, since this is just like devolved into Nico loves the music?
No, we got other stuff on the way that's not on the board yet because we're figuring out.
Yeah, we got Disney Afternoon Comics.
That's true. That's coming up Wednesday.
I was doing a little bit of research.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, hot off the heels of our coverage of the Disney Afternoon shows, we're going to break into the Disney Afternoon Comics. We're particularly focusing on Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles, two family favorites.
Very family, very favorite.
And it's not always Marvel over here, so we wanted to play around with some other stuff.
I am like down to my knee excited about the fact that we're gonna launch. Kevo, that looks amazing.
Oh, hey friends.
We're also going to be launching a look at Vertigo by the years that we've been threatening since like the earliest days of X's for Podcast. And anybody who wants to can come along. It'll be the three of us every week, but I imagine Jake's going to jump in. Jonah's going to jump in. Arturo, who I can't wait to get Arturo, Nathan, Steve, the classics. I know they're all going to have something at some point in the course of those 22 episodes to weigh in on. So
absolutely.
I look forward to seeing all of them. I also just want to comment. It's a great job that Kevo did pulling up that Disney Afternoon one-shot from 2018. Unfortunately, we're not really going to be covering any of those characters outside of Launchpad, as they don't really appear in a lot, with the exception of Chip and Dale and the DuckTales kids. They appear in some Darkwing comics that are ultimately rendered out of canon. So, TK, I know you've read some of the Darkwing, some of the Gargoyles. I remember when the Duck Knight Returns had just come out. It was just like the craziest thing. and I remember a brilliant comics professional friend of a friend who is an editor at Image, and she was detailing to me this book, and I'm like, wow, what you're detailing to me sounds like they put Darkwing Duck in The Dark Knight Returns, and she goes, it's literally called The Dark Knight Returns. And I was just like, I gotta go find James Silvani and buy it from his table right now. And so you all know, as a kid, Darkwing Duck was quite literally my single favorite thing in the world. Nothing made me happier. I carried my Darkwing Duck plush with me everywhere, but I had a horrible speech impediment. And I would, in fact, say, I'm Nicholas Joseph Othello, and my favorite character is Darkwing Duck. And I would say this a lot. My voice was lower as a kid, I guess. Anyway, yes. This is a dream. Very excited. Can't wait to talk about all of this and more. But until we do, Kevo, I want to ask you. Oh, scroll back down for me, handsome.
Wow.
All right. Who's your favorite character on this page, and where can everybody find you?
Well, my area of expertise in the next episode where we discuss comics is definitely going to be the gargoyles at large. I've got a lot of feels about season 4, and yeah, it's a good time. I'm excited, and you can find me on the webs over at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY. Teak, what are you excited for?
I'm absolutely excited for Gargoyles. We identified Gargoyles as part of the holy trinity of kids animated shows with Batman and X-Men, and those really were the holy trinity for me. Those really jump-started my love of serial storytelling. And while I had peeked at the comics here and there, I didn't have the same comprehensive access to them that I now have, and hadn't really dug in and didn't really know, that 2 of them are meant to be essentially additional seasons of the show and really actually continue the story. So I am super excited about that. And if ahead of us broadcasting about it, you would like to talk to me specifically about it, you could get onto Twitter or Instagram and look up XNateXGrayX and shoot me a message, and I'd love to talk to you about it. Nico, where did everybody find you? What are you most excited about?
Number 1, I am most excited that I am continuing my lifelong evolution into turning into Baloo. Between the hat, the outfit, I am continuing my lifelong dream of just being a giant bear of a man who never has to wear pants.
You've had shirts like that too.
Yeah. But I'm most excited about Darkwing, my absolute favorite cartoon character of all time. Number 2 is Dr. Zoidberg from Futurama, who is, of course, the best example of a Jewish shellfish ever.
Zoidberg is an unsexy launch pad, so I
yes.
get it.
I also want to thank everybody who wished me a happy Father's Day. It's so great when other guys' sons wish me a happy Father's Day. Thank you. And I will keep doing my part for them. So
someone's got to.
And until next time, when we come back to talk about some Disney afternoon goodness and how I am, in fact, the terror that flaps in the night from what I just said a moment ago. Stay strong, stay smart. We love making this show for you, and we will see you.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, that's important. Like and subscribe.
So you didn't say your outro, so I wasn't ready.
Yeah, so that's my new thing. Stay smart, stay strong, like and subscribe, and we'll see ya.
And show's over. No warning, Kevo. Bye.